like to welcome everybody to the special meeting of the Board of Trustees of East Central Independent School District being held on December 15th, 2022, beginning at 5:30. We will move on to item 2, roll call. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. We have in the meeting Monique Rexas, Victor Garza, John Massengale, and Emilio Carrasco. With that, we will move on to item 3, prayer and pledge. Mr. Scott.
Dr. Fuller.
All right, please bow your head for the prayer. Dear Lord, we pray that you bless this meeting and the people gathered here today. May you enlighten each of us so that we can contribute our expertise, knowledge, and ideas positively. May we plan goals that lead to the benefit of all concerned. We pray that you would bless all of our plans so that we could successfully bring them to fruition. Let this meeting be a gathering of peacemakers for the good of society. All this we ask in your name.
Amen.
All right, please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Awesome. Thank
You should
very
have come
much.
traffic on
Move on to item 4, public comments.
We should do that.
No public comments.
No public comments. All righty. You want to take All right, we'll move on to item 5, choice schools presentation. Mr. Descano.
Sir, Mr. Masco, trustees, we obviously got a bunch of our staff here today that you'll get to hear from. But what we wanted to do was bring the board together to talk a little bit about our School of Choice programming in East Central ISD. Most of you are very familiar with this, but just to kind of frame the conversation today, our number one priority has always been to make sure that every child has a customized learning program. That in other words, their needs are met and that their parents' expectations for their child's education are met in our system. And for most kids, their neighborhood school at every level meets those expectations and meets those individual child's needs. But what we've also seen over the last couple of decades is that there is a percentage of students that need some options. And one of the options has always been available for our students is an intra-district transfer. And we do have an intra-district transfer process in alignment with board policy that allows for any students who want to attend a different school other than their neighborhood school could apply for that opportunity. And there's a process that we utilize that primarily looks at space first and foremost and then considers the child's academic needs. That's not utilized very often, but what we also realized years ago is that it's more than that. That sometimes students and their families want something that is outside the traditional academic experience that we offer in our system. And so in studying the data trends, we saw that neighboring school systems, primarily charter schools, began to form in our boundaries, predominantly on the west side of our district, and it seemed like that's where a lot of students who were looking for other experiences were gravitating towards. In addition to that, several school districts in our area have opened their borders and no longer have school boundaries. And so we've seen a small percentage of our students, anywhere from 14 to as high as 17% of school-age children in the East Central ISD community attending either other school districts, public school districts who have open enrollment, or one or more of our charter schools that are in the East Central Independent School District or adjacent to the East Central Independent School District. So given all of that, we felt like we could do better and that we wanted to iterate the possibilities. So tonight, we're going to talk about with you the schools of choice that we have in existence. About those schools, you'll meet the leadership of those schools and we'll talk about any adjustments that we're considering. We're also going to talk about some additional schools of choice that we're planning for, that we want your feedback on, because we want to launch those, open them for year one as early as next fall. And so with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Fuller.
All right, good evening. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate that it's 2 nights this week that you have given your time to meet with us, and also right for the holidays. So we want to invite you during the meeting to please help yourself to snacks and refreshments over there. So if you want something, get up and get it. Don't worry. So as Mr. Toscano so eloquently said, we're here tonight just to preview you and talk with you a little bit about Choice Schools, what we currently have, what we're planning and considering for the future, to get your feedback and thoughts as we are making those plans currently with staff that are here in the room and staff that are not here, but the people here that are here represent the committees and the work that we've done throughout the districts to put this together. And so we are going to, like Mr. Chicano said, tell you a little bit about what's going on currently, talk to you about what we're planning, and then the other thing is then what's considering even a little bit further out, so you can kind of understand what we're thinking that trajectory could look like for our community to help make this choice option become real for everybody who would like to take part in it. So Mr. McKay is going to kick us off and tell us a little bit about our enrollment and projections.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. I appreciate it. So what I did was I went through our most recent PASA study, which you all have received a copy of, and did some digging on charter school enrollment and what also PASA projects. So currently right now we have 1,392 students in EC that are enrolled in a charter school in our surrounding area. We have seen a 107% increase since 2014. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Most enrollments, though, are within a 5-mile radius of their current residence. So we are learning that a lot of it is out of convenience. If they're on their way to work, they're passing it, and they pass a charter school, it's easier. Or if we know, like specifically towards the northern end, I know that there's an IDEA school that's in Converse. For a lot of the families that live in that area, it's closer than either coming back across the district boundaries for their children to attend one of the elementary schools or middles or high. There has been a 2-year change since 2019 to 22 with an increase of 230 more students enrolled in a charter school in our area. Currently, right now, that is a 13.8% student attendance rate for charter schools. And projections are by 2026, 2027 that we'll have 1,843 students, or an increase of 451 more students that reside in the EC ISD community attending a charter school. So one of the things that we all know is that charter schools are actively expanding across San Antonio. The challenging point behind it is they can open quickly because a lot of times they're just taking vacant buildings. And most importantly, what's challenging for us is they don't need much advance. We don't get very much advance notice at all. And one of the things that we have now also learned, as it has been in the last several legislative sessions, is that vouchers are going to be heavily pushed, and they're going to twist it. They're going to challenge it. They're going to say other names around it, whatever it may be, savings accounts. But ultimately, we know that it's backed by very big companies that are pushing that forward. So charter schools in the surrounding area of East Central, there are 2 IDEA schools, the Harvey Najum Academies. I have a map I'll show you here in just a minute. There's the 2 Compass Rows, which are housing some of our ECISD students. There are 3 Jubilee Academies that students from East Central attend, and then we also have Brooks Academy. And last but not least, if you go towards Schertz, which part of our community that attends EC is in the Schertz area. There's a Founders Classical Academy that's on 1518 that we had several students from ECISD that are also attending. So if you look at the map that I put on here, you can see all of the red dots are the schools from which, right along the boundary lines of our district, that our students are attending. And if you recognize that there's really 3 that are in our attendance zone, the one in Converse, the one Jubilee that's over by Brooks City Base, and then Brooks Academy, or Jubilee, it's over there by Roland Avenue and South Cross in that range, and then you've got Brooks Academy, but the rest are in right outside the boundary line. So turn it back over to Dr. Fuller or to Ms. Casper.
We're gonna start just telling you with where we are currently, what are our choice school programs. So Jennifer Casper is gonna kick us off.
Hi, good evening. Jennifer Casper, Director of Curriculum Instruction. So Salado Leadership Academy is one of our current schools of choice. It serves elementary, K through 5. The focus of this school, outside of all of the other learning that's happening, is a focus on leadership skills. And so the students are really learning to use their voice, they're having choice in how they're learning, and they're really building those leadership skills. And so some of the defining characteristics, they engage in project-based learning, and so a lot of their learning is centered around big ideas. They might be working to design a solution to a problem that they're going to present to their parents or to the external community. They might be working on designing a new possible playground structure or designing a book that they're going to read to another classroom. So really more in-depth and then kind of learning all the things that they need to learn in the content areas through that project-based environment. They also study the 7 habits of highly effective people, and so we have that down on there. They have specific time in their school day and like little weekly powwows where they get together and they talk about these habits and how to synergize and how to be proactive, how to sharpen their saws and their skills, how to balance the things that they want to do with the things that they need to do, and then they're really starting to lead. One of the really neat things that just happened, and Ms. Triana wasn't able to join us today because she's actually hosting an event with her community and her students at Salado, but she wanted to share how proud she was of her students and their leadership. And a couple of weeks ago, we had teachers and leaders from all across the state of Texas come and visit because one of their other characteristics is that they're a blended learning environment, which basically means that they're learning a lot of their curriculum on their own, self-paced, personalized, individualized instruction through technology. So we hosted, I think, 38 visitors across the state of Texas. They came in, the students themselves led the presentation. They served as escorts, greeting the educators when they walked in the door, talking with them, greeting them, walking them to the place where we kind of did the presentation. And then the presenters got to share a little bit about Salado Leadership Academy, and then the students just kind of took off. And so the visitors got to go into classrooms, see the students work, ask them questions. The end was so magical. The kids had a panel discussion, so it was just the students sitting up front. We had some questions that we guided them through, and then the magic was when the observers came and just asked questions off the cuff, and to see the kids' hands just jet up into the air and start talking to them about their journey, talking to them about how they used to be bored or how learning used to be hard, but now they can decide if they want to learn something through a computer program or if they want to learn something from a friend or go and sit in with their teacher and get some extra help, or how they figure out problems when they do need help. They're showing agency, they're able to use choice in their learning, they're sitting down with their teachers and they can show you, this is the goal that I have for this week, and these are the things that I'm going to do to reach that goal. And then they sit down and talk to the next student and it's a different goal or a different pathway to get that goal. And so it's just amazing to see those kids talk about their learning in a way that I don't know that we could have ever talked about our learning when we were their age. And they were like kinder all the way through 5th grade, and we were like, you're hired. Like, you're hired to come work for us today, right? So in addition to the blended learning, they also have club time where students get to explore their interests and things that they may not have been able to experience outside of the school because they might be learning a new skill like cooking or something with poetry or a sport. There's a running club that's pretty active. So all of those things are pretty amazing. And Teresa really wanted to be here to share with you, but she's super proud of everything that her kiddos are doing, and can't wait to share it with you when you get a chance to see her campus. Nice. I'm going to pass it on to, I believe, Dr. Martinez.
Yep.
And Miss Principal Joette Barnes.
So thank you all for allowing us this opportunity to share one of my favorite schools of choice, which is our dual language academies. We have 2 dual language academies at Oak Crest and Salado, and this program is offered for students in pre-K through 5th grade. And one of the main focuses of our program is that 2 groups, students, emergent bilinguals, which we have approximately 570 emergent bilinguals, and English proficient students, which we have 336 students, English proficient students, learn together in a systematic way so that both groups become bilingual and biliterate. The other focus of our program, the defining characteristics of our program is that language minority students build their native language proficiency, which in the long run strengthens their ability to acquire that second language, which is English, because we know by research that knowledge transfers. They build it in their first language to then apply it to that second language. Another characteristic of our successful program is that English speakers develop proficiency in a new language. Therefore, their English skills are strengthened because of all of the cognitive challenges that they're going through to acquire that second language. Presently, at our 2 dual language academies, we have 906 students, and that was at the end of last month. I can tell you that that's changed by now. We're probably a lot more students, at least 20, 30, because we know through our testing center when students are coming in to our program. The other thing that I wanted to add is that at Oakcrest right now we have 308 students, 382 approximately. At Salado we have 524, which is what makes our 900 students together. And more important than anything, Ms. Joette will share some of our success stories in her program.
So my name is Joette Barnes. I'm the principal at Oakcrest. I will say that I'm speaking on behalf of Oakcrest, but I can tell you confidently that what happens at Oakcrest and what the successes that we have is the same at Salado. We work very collaboratively to ensure that everything, all the systems that we're putting in place, all the students will benefit from them. So I just want to share a testimonial about our fabulous dual language program at Oakcrest. I said, let me talk with a parent, right? I can talk about it all day long because I'm an advocate and I just love my school and everything that we do there. But I said, let me talk with a parent and see what they say. So I spoke with a parent, and so she had 2 students go through the dual language program. The students, their first language is English. And so I kind of said, well, why would you put your kids in the program? She says, when she was younger, she didn't have the opportunity. I didn't have the opportunity, right? And so she's like, I want more for my kids. And so currently, the students, they started the program in kinder. They're currently 5th and 6th graders. The parent mentioned that their family made the choice to apply for the program because she knew that if her children learned a second language, that they would be 2 steps ahead of everyone else. She understood that her children would be provided multiple opportunities that would contribute to their success. So if you speak with these students, you would be truly amazed by their dedication. One of the students was even published in our Live from Southside magazine. And so they actually presented at the school board meeting last year on that. And if you could guess what her topic was, it was about learning Spanish. Out of all the topics that you could choose from, learning Spanish and goal setting, because she said she wanted to be fluent. But if you spoke with her, you would think she was fluent. So she has so much drive within her that she wants to be excellent, right? And be able to read, speak, and write it, right? And so this just goes to show that the student values the program. And what makes this testimonial 10 times better is the fact that the bilingual department has worked really hard to put systems in place to ensure that students have the opportunity to earn a high school credit if they meet specific requirements. So with that said, I'm proud to announce that this student has already earned the high school credit. So that's just one testimonial, right? And so now we work very hard. We have so many students on track to receive a high school credit this year. We're tracking that, and I mean, I wish I had that opportunity when I was younger.
And just to give you an idea, last year we were able to get 17 students to obtain that high school credit. We have potential candidates of 64 for next year to get that high school credit. Wow. And it's not easy. The requirements are 3 requirements. They must be in the program 5 consecutive years in the dual language. They must be able to show proficiency or higher in reading and speaking both languages, English and Spanish. And then the last criteria that the state requires is that they must accomplish meet or masters in math and reading STAR assessment. And that really, they don't require what language, because if by then they've met those 2 other criteria, then the STAR is just like an added expectation. And this is all documented. We have a system in place so that we have 64 potential students for next year to obtain high school loading credit. We're very proud of that. Thank you, Ms. Joy. Oh, and Ms. Diana would have loved to be here also for that. But actually, she's in one of her celebrations. She's at her posada. Pastorela Posada.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Castle. They have their first group of 8th graders this year, so they expanded a little bit. And next year, their first cohort will be in 12th grade, so it's going to span from 8th to 12th grade. Now in East Central, all of our students, we're trying to make college ready, career ready, military ready. So all of our kids, but at Cass Lead, their emphasis is also a little bit extra on that career side. So I want you to think about that career component with them. And then within that, the leadership. And so when you're thinking about leadership, I want you to think a little bit about what Ms. Casper was talking about before with the Leadership Academy, because some of it's almost like an extension from what the Leadership Academy at Salado is doing up at like a high school level. So the first couple bullets kind of hit some similarities there where you're talking about that customization, as you can imagine. It's got to be a little different, a little bit more customized learning in order to do that. And then that project-based learning, that's a defining piece of Salado's Leadership Academy, is a defining piece at Cass Lead. And in education, we love our acronyms, right? We love acronyms. And so we've got STEM, right? So you're probably familiar with it, but it's the science, the technology, the engineering, and math. And you're going to hear more about that later, so I'm not going to go into depth about STEM right now. But you can imagine how those components are really awesome and complement that career work, and that it's kind of careers within those fields. Now, what I said before about yes and, right? So they're doing college ready and that work. So dual credit is a defining piece of the work at Cass Lead, where the students will be dual enrolled at high school and college, so they'll be getting a lot of college credit before they graduate. And then, as you can imagine, with a career being so important, they've got a really tight relationship with industry partners, and so they work super closely together. They're always collaborating around it. And two really easy ways that presents are through the internships and practicum opportunities for the kids. And then kind of the last piece that I'll speak briefly about are like a program of study. It's, the kids declare like what they want to focus on, and then it defines their unique coursework at Cass Lead around four areas that we've got listed up here. And Ms. Pingway is going to come up in a second, and she's going to talk a little bit more about an example and kind of walk you through that. So I'm going to introduce to you Ms. Ashley Pingway, the very energetic and charismatic leader at Cass Lead. And if only she was a little bit more excited, right?
Well, I am very excited to be here, and I hope you are all as well. So a little bit about my experience at Cass Lead High School. So this is my first year as principal there, and I've been in the district for, this will be my 8th year. And so we are very much East Central ISD and very much CAST, and it's been really unique to have an opportunity to work with two educational entities that believe so much in what our students can do. We actually were blessed to have 2 visitors today, so if there's anything I don't cover.
Where are your boots at? Those are so cute earlier.
The boots are in the car, where the heels were until I took off the boots in the car. But thank you for asking. So a little bit about Cass Lead, and I'll touch on project-based learning just briefly because like the other Leadership Academy, we use project-based learning, but on the high school level, it's a little bit different, right? And we emphasize that our students are working on projects that impact the community. And so if you drop by to see us, we just this week had a food pantry put into the front of our school that is open 24/7 to any families to donate or partake in. And that was the result of students who, during project-based learning, were given a very general and vague topic. Security. Could be physical security, could be building and facility security, water security. They chose food security. And as they researched it and looked and saw that San Antonio is full of grocery stores, but in East Central, they're all on the outskirts. And we're hearing students say this and go, they are. So by their own research, they ended up connecting with an industry partner and providing us with a food pantry. So it's very applicable, it's impactful, and when you think of Cass Lead, I just encourage you to think life ready. Leaders in life. Just like we want to make lifelong learners, we want to make lifelong leaders, and our students are starting now. Our students self-advocate. One of our pillars that we focus on is student voice and choice, and trust me, be careful if you give students that priority because they will use it. And so I want to use one of our students as an example of life readiness. We have a student, her name is Ryan Winneman, and she's one of our juniors, so she's one of our first cohorts. And she will be our first graduating class next year. And Ryan is already, in my opinion, life ready. If you speak to her, Actually, that's not even a chance. If you could get her to stop speaking, that would be the chance. When you speak to her, if you come on campus, she has this passion about her. She might not be able to pinpoint for you exactly what industry she wants to go in. And that's why I'm not going to emphasize a whole lot of programs of study, because any program of study is going to give them transferable leadership skills, right? So with Ryan, she's in our agribusiness, which means she goes over to ECHS, our sister high school, and gets to participate in ag, but also is learning the business aspects. Well, now couldn't she use that in several different ways just based off of that? But in addition to that, okay, so she's got agriculture, she's taking business courses, she also has a paid internship with the McNay Art Museum. And so she works with them, they provide her with additional opportunities. She's just like a student would be if they were an employee, in cell phone contact with her manager and learning how to be a procurer, right, of art, which she loves and produces. But she also is in dual credit and experimenting with what Texas A&M San Antonio has to offer. So in reality, we're not even really asking students to make a choice. Their choice is the choice school. I want to go to Cast Lead. That sounds like the experience I want. And once they make that choice, it's our job to ensure they have every choice when they graduate. We don't want them to go through high school and have to make a decision and say, well, I didn't do any dual credit and I don't want to do loans, so I have to go into the workforce. Or the job I want, I have to go to a university, right? Or I would really like to be able to manage teams and collaborate with people and go into the military and end up being a leader, but I don't have those skills. Our students will get to choose. And I think that is what we really want for all students, not just to choose their school, but for them to continue to have choices for the rest of their lives. And so I really think students like Ryan are both experimenting with things they love, finding out things they don't, and being able to do that in a safe environment with support, with, like we talked about with project-based learning, things they can apply in the future, things that are already impacting their community and they're learning how to be citizens. All of that before graduation. So when they leave, they're ready to make that choice. So that's just a little bit about what we do at Cast Lead. I could stand up here for a week, even after just the first semester. But we are very excited to be one of the choices for our students here in East Central ISD because, like Mr. Toscano was saying earlier, the majority of our students, a traditional high school works. But we've all met that kid who is remarkable. And they just don't quite spark in a traditional environment. And so we're seeing those sparks at Cast Lead.
Good job.
Also, I apologize, I too have a campus event tonight. We have a family movie event. So I'm going to scoot, but we're going till 7:30 if anyone wants to come watch the end of Elf and get some hot chocolate or apple cider or popcorn. Thank you. We're right down the road.
Stop by Cast Lead on your way out. Well, good evening to all of you. Thanks for taking an additional night to talk with us about some of the opportunities that we're really excited for. So you've just kind of heard our staff really talk about where we're at right now with our choice schools in the district that are already open and functioning and servicing our students. And so I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk about some things that are kind of in the pipeline that we've been working towards doing some task force research around investigating other districts around the area. And so the first thing that we'll talk about is our health science P-TECH. We were awarded a T-class grant last year to help with COVID in getting students back into the buildings and helping them recuperate some of that, the time that they lost. And so we'll talk about that just a little bit, and you'll hear from Ms. Ruiz, that administrator. We also are investigating and looking into expanding Salato's Leadership Academy through the 6th grade to really build a strong pipeline into Cast Lead. And that would continue to really further refine the programs that our students can go into to make sure that they're really becoming prepared for what their post-secondary endeavors. And then the third thing that we are really, really excited about tonight is to share an opportunity to take Pecan Valley and turn that into a STEM academy. And so that would be a new school of choice that we would propose to open next school year, the 23-24 school year. So I, if Mr. Reese come up, would like to start off with our health science P-Tech. So P-Tech stands for Pathways of Technology in Early College High School. And so the grant that we applied for is going to be partnering dual credit with our health sciences program to get our students a degree or a certification before they leave our programs at the end of their senior year, but they could go up to 6 years in the district. We will be grades 9 through 12 next year. We'll be grade 9 next year will be the first cohort, but it will eventually go 9 to 12. They'll be focusing on the underrepresented populations of students who wouldn't traditionally have access to dual credit courses, certifications in their industries. So we have a goal of 110 freshmen being enrolled, and I think Mr. Reese will share the current number with you right now. We're pretty excited about. And some of the defining characteristics around our P-Tech is that we have been working diligently with A&M San Antonio to develop 60 hours of dual credit that will be offered to these students in the science and core content areas. We also, Mr. Reese has been really securing a lot of industry partners for us to get work-based learning locations. So that will actually start their 9th grade year. Most of our students don't go into work-based learning until their junior and senior year. The P-Tech kind of flips that model on its head, so the students will start accessing industry partners their freshman year and then working towards industry certifications. You'll notice that some of the certification programs offered are a little bit different than what we traditionally offered in our health science program. So we will continue with our certified nursing aid. We're going to be adding phlebotomy. The students get phlebotomy training anyway. We just weren't certifying them. So we're going to be adding that. We're going to be shifting our medical assisting to a patient care technician. And then we will continue the pharmacy technician. We're excited. We've just added an exercise and wellness program that will actually give our students certified personal trainer certifications. And then Mr. Reese is helping us add a radiology technician certification. So we are going to be offering more certifications to more kids, and I will introduce Mr. Reese.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to take some time to speak to y'all about P-Tech. I know that I'm the new face here at the district, but I want you to know that I'm super excited to start this program here. I have previous experience at SAISD with the H-Tech program, if you're familiar with that, and helped take that and run with it and get it off the ground, and it's pretty successful now. It's actually a training facility for the state and other P-Tech programs around the area. I am taking what I learned there, bringing it here and making it better. Currently, let me give you the numbers and then I'll kind of give you my spiel on this. So right now, we have 106 students that have applied. We have 82 students that have accepted their seat. So we have 82 students ready to roll right now. And then breaking them down where we're getting them, we have 1 student that's out of district, 2 students that will be transferring from Cass Lead. I'm glad Ashlyn's not here. We have 44 students that are coming from Heritage, and we have 35 students that are coming from Legacy. So we have a good round number. I have been pushing this out heavily through social media, going through the schools. Tomorrow I'm actually going to go to Heritage and try to get those students that have not accepted their seat, because some of them just don't know how to check their email or don't check their email. So I'm going to go and visit with them and hopefully get this accepted seat number higher than it is right now. But I don't think at all that we're going to have any type of issue meeting our 110 goal. So I want to talk to you about our enrollment goal. So holistically, just by retention purposes, P-Tech will lose enrollment. Okay, it is a rigorous program. It is hard, and I'm going to be totally upfront with you. They are going to start dual credit courses day 1, meaning they're going to walk in to the campus of East Central and be a high school freshman and a a college student simultaneously, which is, being a high school freshman is hard within itself, right? Then you throw that college component in it, that's tough. So we have to do a lot of prepping for the students. So we'll have a 2-week intensive summer bridge program for the students to prepare them for being a college student, being a dual credit student. Along with that, we'll throw in some PD for the dual credit professors, because the first year, TEMUSA will send over their professors over to John Glenn to teach our students. Our students will not be transported to the university. but they're still gonna be college students. They're still gonna have to know how to turn in work on time and how to write a paper, how to write work, and write a works cited page. It is just a tremendous job for, if you think about it, a 14-year-old to be in a P-TECH program. So we have a little buffer in the event that we lose some. Sometimes mom or dad wants it more than the student. So we hope to stay around 95 to 100 students per cohort as we go through, as retention-wise. And that will help us create and make our outcome-based measures that are put on by the state. Additionally, it's actually, Dr. Holman, 63 dual credit hours that we're gonna offer. So that's an associate's degree. If the student stays in good standing with TAMUSA, they have the ability to go in through the Aspire program and get their Bachelor of Science degree for free, completely free. And that would be at year 16. They will not be on our campus for year 13 and 14, I'm sorry, I said 16 and 14. They will not be at our campus, they'll be a TAMUSA student, but they will still receive supports from our district because they will still be technically under the umbrella of P-TECH. And that might just be study skills, job interviews through our industry partners, whatnot. One of the defining characteristics of P-TECH is our work-based learning. And just like Dr. Holman said, typically you don't see work-based learning until your junior, senior year. Here, again, coming out the gate, these students will have work-based learning opportunities, again, day one. And this will be incorporated through their summer bridge program into their year and then continuing on. And these are things like field trips, mock interviews, presentations, guest speakers. I mean, it is so awesome the amount of opportunities that the students are gonna get in order to be post-secondary ready and career ready. The industry certifications, like we said, they're listed. We're gonna offer 5 pathways. And all of the 5 pathways are a little different as you start looking at them because each pathway offers varied courses that are specific to the students in what they need to learn in order to obtain that certification. So they'll be prepping for their cert, really beginning their junior year with the internships that they will experience and externships through our industry partners. And I'm going to give you those industry partners here in a second. The other thing that I wanted you to also be aware of is that Texas A&M San Antonio is going to provide our students with a leadership certificate, which is a level 1 certificate through the Henry C. Snaros Emerging Leadership Program. So our seniors will walk away with an industry-based certification. They'll walk away with a level 1 certificate. They will walk away with 63 hours of dual credit, and that's just walking out of high school. So we are setting them up to be career ready, and think about the money that we're saving the students, the parents. I mean, this is just a remarkable opportunity for our students. A lot of the students that pick P-TECH know that this is where they want to be in some form or fashion. They know that they want to go into the health or science career. They know that medicine is the way that they want to be and where they want to end up. So that's the beauty of this program, is that now we're offering the students the chance to really see if this is what they want to do, but essentially prep them for their life. Prep them if they want at 18 to have a certification and go out and work if that's what they choose, but also finish out the degree and then go on to a master's and maybe a doctorate if that's where they want to be. Currently, we have 5 industry partners. We have Texas A&M University San Antonio as our higher education institute. We have Christus Santa Rosa. We have Methodist Metropolitan. We have Methodist Atascosa. We have HEB. We have Walgreens and TSAOG. So we have a good variety of places for our students. My favorite one, and this was like my home run hit, was TSAOG because they have a cadaver lab. So they have offered our students to go to their lab, and this is going to be something that they'll start again day 1 running out, and this is almost like the shock and awe, because if they can't see a cadaver and you can't do anatomy, you might not be in the right profession. And I kind of want them to know that going in, because again, if they're going to put all that time, the last thing I would hate to do is their junior year put them in front of a cadaver and they're like, oh, this is not my thing, Ms. Ruiz, and you know, what do we do? So, anybody have any questions? I know that.
TSAOG.
Yes, it is Texas, San Antonio, wait, Texas? I can't.
San Antonio.
Orthopedic,
Yeah.
yes, group. Yes. So they do like head to toe. And if you're familiar with them, they have facilities here at Brook City Base. They have some over at Westover Hills. They have by North Star. I mean, they're just all over. They have one in Schertz, and they have different doctors, again, that will go from head to toe. And no matter where your pain is, they will They will help you. And they have a specialized lab that will allow the doctors, nurses, medical assistants to go in and practice the skills, which is why the cadaver is so important. They allow them to practice their surgeries. They also do have live bodies, which what they call them. That means they haven't been embalmed yet as well, so they get to do that. We've got a lot of cool things happening.
Trustee tours if you're interested.
And I'll take anybody if y'all want to go with me.
Tours.
What's on your number?
Hands-on.
Yes.
What campus is this gonna be at?
Good question. So we're gonna be a school within a school. So we will be housed out of John Glenn, and students will be in the general population of East Central, but they will be cohorted with their dual credit and their health science courses as PTEC. They should be able to participate in extracurricular activities. They'll have all the benefits of an East Central High School student. I will say, and this is just me thinking out loud, the student will eventually, I believe, have to make a choice because it does get intense, and the program toward their sophomore, junior year is so rigorous that they're taking almost 15, 18 hours of dual credit depending on if they're behind, and that football or band or basketball is not going to fit in their schedule. But again, that's just a sacrifice that the student's going to have to make if they want to continue on with the program. Yes. Exciting things happening. Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
So, the other exciting opportunity we have going right now is that we have been exploring for the last several months through the development of a task force, taking Pecan Valley Elementary and converting that to a school of choice. That would be a STEM school. So again, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When we talk about STEM, we're talking about a way of teaching. So they're learning through the engineering design process to design, develop, think strategically, those types of things. But they're also learning the content of science, technology, engineering, and math. So we are here proposing that we've got this STEM Academy opening in the 23-24 school year for Pecan Valley. It would service grades pre-K through 5 because we do find it very important that our students who have maybe younger siblings that are going into pre-K would have access to the same school. So it was very important to the task force that really has been researching this, that those students had access. The focus here would be, again, on that engineering design process. So you're going to go into classrooms and you'll see that they're teaching reading and writing, but they may be reading and writing about engineering design or reading and writing through problem solving, using that to do problem solving. So you'll see more of the design process. I think sometimes there's a misconception with some STEM schools that that's all they teach. The kids don't learn other things, and so it's still going to be comprehensive, but it will be through this engineering design process. So some defining characteristics of this is that it will be, again, a project-based learning. You've heard us refer to that quite frequently tonight. And that, again, allows the students a lot of choice in how they learn and what they learn and how they demonstrate their knowledge to us. It also will have a unique opportunity for our students. So the elementary students, as you may know, rotate around through what we call specials. So that's how the students get fine arts and PE, computers, and those types of things in the elementary schools. We will be adding a STEM lab specials. And so students will have opportunities to experience things like robotics, coding, computer science, all of the fun things, little experiments that they want to do in there. So we're excited about that. And then again, this will continue to be a blended learning campus. So Ms. Halberdier and her team has been working on that already. They're going to continue, and that's actually a really beautiful merge that can happen there with the STEM Academy and being a blended learning campus. So we do have in the virtual packets the link to the vision, mission, and beliefs that the task force and Ms. Halberdier have come up with. And so we'd love for you guys to take a look at those. But I'd like to introduce Crystal Halberdier to talk to you guys about the possibility of this campus at PV.
Hi, well thank you so much for letting me have the opportunity to express my excitement about the possibilities of PV becoming a STEM school. when Ms. Friesenham visited us not too long ago, we kind of briefly just talked about the possibility, and she was like, well, how do you feel about it? And I was like, I'm ready to go, and I'm just like, think it's a fantastic opportunity for our community. Although we're still in the planning stage, I can wholeheartedly say that this possibility is something that our students and teachers need and want. I've been at PV for 13 years. I'm extremely passionate about the community we serve, and I am confident that they will appreciate the thoughtfulness that the district still has in thinking about PV for new and innovative ways to approaching curriculum that keeps our students engaged, because we know when students are engaged, they're successful, and our PV students need that. I feel completely supported and involved in the process because of our amazing CIA team, and so I'm just really excited for a new chapter for PV, and we have such a great facility for the STEM program that we're just ready to go and open for possibilities. So, thank you.
Thank you. We're super excited.
Yeah, she's like,
all these rooms. I was like, look at this space. It would be so great for a lab. Yeah, we were geeking out about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Can we answer any questions for you guys about the STEM campus possibility?
you said the virtual packet, the virtual link, where's that at?
Yes, I think.
I went to get it. Do you want to click on it?
Well,
I can look
It's
at
on
it.
Is
your
it up
computer.
here?
Yeah, right in the corner. It's right there.
It's also in your electronic agenda. If you go to that agenda item, this will be attached as well if you want to look at it.
Okay, yeah, I can.
I'll get you a copy.
Just real quick, you said robotics, coding, what was the last two after that?
Computer science, there'll be a lot of experimenting, we're exploring a curriculum through Project Lead the Way that would give them some opportunities to do cross-grade level content exploration around that engineering design process.
We're also writing a grant. We just submitted a grant this past week to the Texas Education Agency for Con Valley, and to support their blended learning. And with the grant, we would our hope is to have them be a one-to-one campus, so every student would have a device. And so that's our goal. Should we be awarded that, and we will find that out, I think around February. So that would just enhance their experience with STEM, blended learning, and problem-based learning for everybody, for them to have a device.
Okay,
So excited about that opportunity. Hopefully. So
Good deal.
yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about so I see you're considering expansion to 8th grade. What is what does that look like? What are some of the key points are you going to start? Obviously, you're going to start pre-K through
Yes.
5th, and then what is the kind of...
Let me run back to this real quick and I can go on to that next slide. So that's a great question. So we are, this is where one of the things that we think is very important as we move forward with schools of choice in the district is allowing our community to really understand what that pipeline looks like and where we're going with this. And so you noticed as our staff talked tonight that when we talked about Leadership Academy, we recommend and we discussed a lot about how that directly aligns with Cass Lead High School. And so what we are proposing that we discuss with the community is, if you attend Leadership Academy, we really recommend Cass Lead High School. You have a choice of wherever you would like to go, but this really would align beautifully with the ways that you have been learning in Leadership Academy. And so the dual language academies, obviously, they are very aligned to the dual, the Spanish and Lodi programs. Oh, I can't speak today. That East Central High School has. And so we recommend that our students going through dual language academies continue through their trajectories at their home middle school campuses and then into ECHS. And then for our STEM Academy, the ideal plan would be that those students would attend either East Central High School or Cass Lead High School or the ECHS P-TECH for health science. Because the important thing here is the way the kids are learning. And so as you brought up, we look at considering expansion to 8th grade in the future. And so that is something that we have been researching what some pre-K to 8 schools look like across the area, because that's different. That's very unique. It's not something that's very traditional. And so That would be something that would be a year-to-year ad. So we'll start pre-K through 5th next year at the STEM Academy, but then as we added grade levels, it would be in subsequent years, and we would add them grade level by grade level.
So the 5th grade, next year's 5th grade, the first cohort of 5th graders would potentially roll up as we add 6th grade.
Gotcha.
So Leadership Academy currently has, through 5th grade, we're considering offering the current 5th graders an option to roll up to 6th grade and create that first cohort of 6th grade at the Leadership Academy. So currently, as it relates to schools of choice, we have a void in those. So
Yes.
this is kind of our strategy to eventually build that pipeline all the way through high school.
I think that's real interesting because a lot of, past in the old days or whatever, not really old days, my kids are not that old, but I know that there was always discussion and concern about a disconnect between, 5th grade and then going to 6th grade, 7th grade, and 6th and 7th grade, and then 8th grade, going to 9th grade. There was always maybe a lapse in something. So I see how this would be a solid continuation of staying with kids, with their educational choices and building, and there's no lapse. So staying in touch with them and stuff. You're not losing anybody.
They're going to start fresh.
Yeah, I think that's.
And in the spirit of maintaining choice, our goal to the extent possible is that there's on and off ramps all along the way. So these kids might be in Leadership Academy and then they might want to shift over possibly to STEM Academy. It's possible from one year to the next. Or they could be in any of these academies and choose the recommended high school or any of the high schools. They have an option to apply to, right? And while they're at those high schools, as you heard mentioned earlier, you've got some Cass Lead kids that are interested in PTech next year. So they've been in one school of choice. They still have an off-ramp and on-ramp to a better fit, which is the spirit of what choice is all about. I mean, things can change. And earlier in our iterations of piloting with schools of choice, we made them make a decision. And it was inflexible. And we found out that didn't work well for a lot of students. And it also discouraged a lot from even trying it their freshman year because they felt like they weren't ready to make a 4-year commitment. It's not perfect. Some of these do require more of a commitment than others. But we want to create that flexibility within, all along the way.
Yeah, that's good. I like this. That's really good. Thank you so much.
Any other questions I can answer about the choice school system that we're developing?
Is this something that you will share with parents in the community, this kind of stuff?
Actually, I'd like to introduce you to
job.
Brandon Oliver. And he will tell you, do you want?
You can just click me right next to
Did you just ask for Brandon to come to the
That was awesome.
Thank you very much for that.
Segue.
Good evening, board members, and of course Superintendent Toscano. You've heard a lot of great, exciting opportunities about customized learning tonight. So we know about it. How does the rest of the community know about it, the rest of their student body and our staff? So here's a marketing plan for the choice schools. Obviously, social media is going to be important, getting the word out. We will create a social media campaign with scheduled posts in advance with topics that relate to our choice schools. This kind of mirrors our success that we had with the bond recently. The same type of social media strategy that was deployed for that would be deployed for a school of choice, taking that example. Advertisements and promotions in the School Bell Times, as well as the Tides of Pride, School Bell Times being our newsletter that's distributed out to everybody in the district, and the Tides of Pride is our electronic newsletter. We do currently have an ad buy with the Wilson County News. We're looking at additional ad buys where we would include this information in there. Marcom, Marketing Communications, wants to create a video series about choice schools that show the clear pathway to a career. That includes testimonials from staff, from parents, from current students, and then depending on the timing of it, maybe even some possible former students. There will be a website dedicated to the choice schools. There's a template, I'll show you in just a second. marketing is already built out most of the website that mirrors that template. So that will be ready to go. Of course, swag and stickers. Everybody likes, the free stuff that they want to keep. Strategic mailouts, again, borrowing from the success that we had from the bond. So we will do targeted mailouts depending on audience and messaging. Marquee signage, so a combined effort on our marquee signage out front of the schools. And then, of course, banners, also kind of mirroring the success from the bond, having some signage and banners that are out on display for the community. So that's our marketing plan. I keep mentioning it, but I mean, we've had so much success from the bond, so many things that we learned from it that we can continue on with it. And then the template, I don't know if I can click on it. So this is from Dallas ISD and their schools of choice. The main thing I want to focus on is down here where it has these icons browsing the choice schools, with each icon opening up more information about that school. Locally, it's not available to the outside yet, only internally. We've already started building out a website similar to this where you click on the P-TECH icon or you click on the Castley icon, and then it opens up to more information about it, either a video or a link to additional information. And so we are already in the process of that and hope to have it completed the early part when we return. So.
Good job.
So, you guys have any questions or comments, feedback?
I wanted to ask a quick question and then I'll be quiet, but I just wanted to ask Mr. McKay, you had mentioned earlier, a lot of the students that attend charter schools, it's out of convenience. What do you think are some of the other appealing things that maybe we don't realize?
Yeah, it's maybe smaller learning environments. I mean, if they go into a smaller school, of course, sometimes they appeal to the emotions, and so sometimes public schools could be inappropriately portrayed as being not as safe as small, secluded schools. The other thing that becomes very evident is they really de-emphasize state accountability scores, and they don't have the same level of accountability. And although public schools are required to serve every student, regardless of their current conditions, charters can make choices because they may not have the ability to serve. So therefore, you start to create the conditions that you only have certain types of students that can attend schools, which skews the viewpoints and the successes that they have. And then I think the other thing is they have a lot of major backing behind them through a lot of large corporations, and it's all masked behind different ways to show that how they can try to appeal through marketing and specific campaigns that unfortunately public schools don't have those available dollars to spend on that. So whether it's getting into the deep pockets and helping with those that are making policy and helping to sway and or not. So those are some of the reasonings that we've heard throughout the years of why. But what our passive study has shown, though, is the majority of it is because of its convenience sake, that they, within a 5-mile radius, it's just, I'm going to work, it's easier for me to go through because I'm driving through this part of the community, and it's easier to drop than anything else and pick up.
Well, thank you. That's some interesting stuff. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
So with the addition of P-TECH and STEM, our school choice program from an academic programming standpoint will include every option that has been determined as the most in demand from parents who are shopping and choosing different types of academic programs. The ones we will now be able to offer as we launch next year includes them all.
Good. That was going to be my next question, but that's so you're thinking of. Good. Thank
Sir.
Nice.
Sure. You did a great job. Fantastic. A lot of information.
Yes, it was really informative. I appreciate all that.
A lot of exciting
It's
things.
exciting.
Just wish we had more energetic leaders on this staff.
Yeah.
They got me
Great job,
excited.
Molly.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really exciting. Thanks for sharing with us. I'm happy to be here tonight and learn all this. It's really informative.
Very good.
Exciting news.
All right. So ready to adjourn?
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Bye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.